So what about a secondary build on the Ushakov? Well, you got Smolensk turrets, right? It should be good. As Monty just like 20Ks us through our bow. Superstructure pens, I suppose. But these secondaries should be good, right? You have so many Smolensk turrets. Well, the problem with that is a couple things. One has to do with dispersion. You're going to notice the dispersion is really bad. So even though we shoot a lot of small, tiny little shells, we don't get that many hits. We're actually doing reasonably well against this Shimakaze compared to some of the other targets that I was dealing with later on in this video. Yeah, it's not amazing in the accuracy department, which can be made up for if we're able to push in more aggressive, get a little closer to the enemy, right? That's what this ship is. It's a tank, right? You just are really, really good at close range most of the time. Of course, going full secondary build means you're giving up main gun accuracy, which is my major complaint with this ship. But, you know, if the secondaries can do good damage to make up for that, maybe that it's worth it. Of course, we always do have an accurate salvo once every 3 or 4 consecutive salvos, which can be quite nice. Pushing in here, trying to deal with a Schlieffen, a Montana. So, you know, not easy targets, especially Schlieffen at closer ranges. We aim for where I think I can overmatch him, but don't get the most amount of damage. And crucially, because Ushakov has insane armor and Schlieffen doesn't have the best shells, I can go flat broadside here and not take citadels, which is just absurd how much armor this ship does have. And that's the super part, I guess, right? Super armor. That's about it. I didn't really like this ship. If you guys did watch my initial video on the Ushakov, I didn't like it at all. But maybe a secondary build can make it work for me. We're getting a lot of hits, you'll notice. Up to, what, 170, something like that on the Schlieffen. We'll see that later. We didn't actually do all that much damage to him, unfortunately. I do think that overall it's going to be just better to run a main gun tank build. I don't really think these secondaries are worth going for because they break a lot. We haven't had too much HE pressure on us this game, fortunately, so we haven't had most of our secondaries break. But as I've played more with this ship, I've noticed that much like Kremlin, the AA mounts and the secondary turrets die very, very quickly. And when we look at the build that I was running, I was actually running the auxiliary armaments upgrade, trying to keep them alive as much as possible. And I still found that they died quite a bit. So not really a recommended build, on my opinion. I wouldn't recommend this ship overall, though. I got very frustrated today while playing this ship, partially because of the secondary build, but partially because I just don't like this ship at all. If you know me, I really hate ships that I don't have battle impact on, where I feel like I'm damaging the enemy ships. I'm able to position in a way where I can catch people off guard and take them out. This is a ship that has battle impact through tanking. I mean, wow, look at that salvo. I know it was only one turret, and it is a secondary build, so keep that in mind. There we go, a little bit better. It is a secondary build here, so keep in mind we don't have the main gun accuracy upgrade in slot 3, I believe. 7% though might not be enough to save some of these salvos. At least we do have this gimmick if we push F, right? A little bit of range and 30% better accuracy. So that is the nice thing here with the Ushakov is we give up main gun accuracy, but at least we can farm up one accurate salvo periodically. So then we can hit a Hindenburg at range, feel pretty good about ourselves after that. And if we get lucky, we might even be able to finish him off here. So I'm very conflicted here. There's times where I think, man, this ship could be really good. And then it goes back to being extremely frustrating to use. It is a new ship, and maybe that's why, but I found I was getting focused quite a lot in this ship. Also, partially just because I was playing overly aggressive. That's another thing. But keep in mind, a ship like this doesn't have the best accuracy at range. It doesn't have any meaningful upgrade to the main guns compared to Kremlin in terms of caliber. Even reload isn't great on this ship either. So playing it at range isn't going to do as well as even a Hannover is a massive upgrade on the main guns compartment. Yeah, look at that salvo. 7% is probably not going to fix that salvo, let's be honest. But even a lot of these super battleships are pretty meaningful upgrades in the gun department. Patrie is probably the least meaningful out of the other battleships, but you still get 12 Republic guns, even though you do have slightly worse Sigma for worse accuracy. But, you know, top score, this was, I think, my best game I've had so far in the Ushakov, so potentially secondary build has to work. We did only 21,000 damage with the secondaries, and I promise with main gun upgrades, we would have easily made up that difference in just more accurate salvos overall throughout the game. And as we deal with this Ibuki here, notice that we've already lost some of our secondaries. In the bottom left there, we can see 88% of our secondaries are alive. And, well, we do actually a good job of citadeling the Ibuki. But given we've given up some accuracy to gain these secondaries, you'd hope the secondaries would just be able to finish off a low health Ibuki like this, right? That's what they're supposed to do after all, is deal with some of these lower health, less armored ships. And yeah, the accuracy, not great. I should talk a little bit about the pen on these guns. They're only 22 mil pen on the secondaries. And even taking IFHE, it only brings it up to 27%, which I didn't really think was all that worth it, especially when you can take other skills, like one of the torpedo protection upgrades, Vigilance, I believe, is much better in that tier 2 slot. But as a brawler, it does okay thanks to its armor. Really, that's all that it's helping it here. I don't think the damage output is particularly amazing. Even with these secondaries, I found them to be overall not very helpful. I'd rather just have better main gun accuracy than the fireworks going off that are these secondaries, which was a disappointing thing because I thought, you know, maybe a secondary build would be cool, especially after I saw, you know, some of the comments in the initial video talking about, yeah, Smolensk secondaries, sign me up, right? Was that dispersion or did that drop low? Now that I didn't actually notice that we missed there. Let's just say it was low, you know, aim bug where it went low. It's a very frustrating ship for me to play, basically because I want accuracy. I want main guns. I want to be able to impact the game through dealing damage, and I can position myself to mitigate some of the armor deficiencies that some of the other super battleships have, especially given the extra range and accuracy that they get at longer ranges. So yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm really not a fan, especially after playing it today. And I know I shouldn't be really evaluating it based on a secondary build, but man, it really frustrated me. Although maybe there are opportunities here, like where a Hannover pushes in on the enemy team, and a big target like that can be where these secondaries shine. We have so many of them. The reload is quick, and who needs an actual accurate platform when the enemy ship you're targeting is, well, the size of a couple cities, right? Like, Hannover's gigantic. And in this situation, I actually do think the secondaries did a pretty decent job. I think we even got the kill on this Hannover because of the secondaries being able to light fires. That's something that you gain with a secondary build, especially on a battleship where you're more focused on using armor piercing. You're not getting that dot damage, that damage over time that a fire can provide. So even though I think that this Hannover would have died anyway, a lot of my teammates are still able to shoot him, we do actually end up managing to get the kill here. So it can be somewhat useful. Of course, the first blood there also gave us extra consumables, given we're running Kuznetsov, which did help me stay alive into the late game here. And in this last clip here I wanted to show you, I wanted to mention the meta at Supership tier 10. It's very passive, so oftentimes the only ships that are actually going to be inside your secondary range, even with the full build here, which is 11 kilometers, is going to be DDs. And that's not really a ship you really are going to do all that well against because of the build-up time to gain accurate secondaries, or get the secondaries as accurate as they're going to be. A lot of these DDs can just go dark in the amount of time it takes for your secondaries to actually start gaining a little bit of accuracy. And of course, if you're facing a Kleber or a Ragnar in this case, yeah, they're just going to sit outside your secondary range and farm you. So it's not all that useful. And of course, again, I'd rather have the main gun accuracy to get a few more hits in with my main guns so that I know I'm going to do a little bit more damage. That said though, I think if you get this ship and you want to try a secondary build, it can work. It can do damage. Of course, using the gimmick, the special button here, we gain some decent accuracy. So every once in a while, you can dump out a pretty accurate salvo and dev strike some cruisers. It happens. It's possible, but I just don't enjoy this ship much at all, especially with the secondary build. So I've already switched back to a more sensible commander. This is what I'd recommend you actually run if you do end up getting this ship. I think the full tank build is just going to be better overall. But to show you what I was using the secondary upgrade. I had switched back to damage control system here because, again, like I talked about, I want 2 out of the 3. This upgrade, this flag, and the commander skill. I was even running auxiliary armaments mod too. I went all in on this, trying to actually make it work. And of course, with the captain build here, I believe it looked a little like this. Running adrenaline rush, running extra healing and extra damage controls, very important. This is the build that I had when I was playing these games. It's really not worth it, guys. It's just not. Just go with the standard build, trust me. And even then, I find this ship extremely frustrating to play, thanks to its poor accuracy and the real battle impact just being you're there to tank damage. And I don't really find that enjoyable because it means I'm relying on my teammates. Maybe if you're in a div, that can be much more valuable. But if you're playing solo, it's going to be a frustrating experience, I think. Although, given how tanky it is, I can see it being very good in competitive and ranked kind of game modes. Could be awesome there. Just push in and push away the enemy team with spotting and tankiness, I guess. But that's going to do it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.